Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94, back with another reaction video. Today, we finna react to Culturalist Theory. But anyways, though, this is most underrated debut albums of all time. Underrated debut albums. Underrated, like they were good, but not many people talked about them. I mean, off the one I can think of off the top of my head would be a brief Freeway debut album that got overshined because of 50 Cent album. It was a lot of albums that got overshined because of 50 Cent album. if we being honest, like debuts, that's tough. Underrated debuts, that's kind of tough. Um, Freeway for sure. Um, Damn. Pretty sure they're not doing R&B. So, cause I got couple of R&B artists who got some great debut albums, but damn, like debut albums, rap wise, off the top of my head, like I said, Freeway for sure is one. I can't think of any. I can't. As this list goes along, I'm pretty sure they'll start popping up. But anyways, though, without further ado, let's get right into this.
What's good, people? CJ Williams for Culturalist Theory checking in. On today's video, it's about that
Warren
all-important
G
debut
for
album.
sure.
The project most artists have been piecing together their whole life.
But then again, I don't feel like Warren G's was underrated because Warren G fit in with the times of that era. Plus, did his album save Def Jam from going bankrupt? I could have sworn that's what happened, so I don't know. You know who else got an underrated debut album that nobody really talks about? That's a really good album, but nobody really talks about it because it's really his only album, if we be honest. DOC. I think we should put DOC on here for sure. I think DOC should definitely be on here. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah.
Whether they were aware of it or not. Today, in no order, we're highlighting 10 underrated and most importantly, underappreciated debut albums in hip-hop's 50-year history. So no, you won't hear the usual suspects like Biggie, Nas, or Hove. We already got a list for that. This is for the debuts that might not have had the same splash, but upon further review, the quality and impact are on par with some of the best we've heard, and much-deserved flowers are in order. So make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below with an album on this list you've been championing for years and no one listened. Also, hit the link in the description for our Discord. We'll be doing some live content on there very soon, giving you a chance for your voice to be heard. Stay locked in for updates. In the meantime, in between time, let's get to it. Meek Mill, Dreams and Nightmares. Hold up, wait a minute. Yo, if the next words that came to mind were y'all thought I was finished, congratulations.
This is a mid album, bro. This is a mid album at best. I mean, once you get past, hold up, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished? When that day that's the money, I thought it was ready. Flexing on these niggas, I like like after that song, the hype for the album just I'm sorry, but the song, the album just go. It's like okay. It's like mid, and it's like all right, I'm fucking with this one right here. Then mid. Okay, my expectations are going lower and lower. All right, I fuck with that song. You know what I'm saying? That's how I treat this Meek Mill album.
You haven't been living under a rock for the last 10 years. Meek Mill, born Robert Williams, came up in the Philly battle rap scene, making a name for himself as one of the premier rappers in the circuit. We're sure you've seen him rapping at some point with the braids that look like they stayed in about 3 weeks too long. The same braids that would adorn the cover of his 2016 commercial mixtape DC4. Williams would ditch the braids, grab a brush and a do-rag, and introduce the world of hip-hop to his Dream Chasers mixtape series. Dream Chasers quickly introduced him to a bigger audience, enamored with his unorthodox delivery and grounded lyrics. lyricism. Following the announcement of his studio debut, Mill promised a concise and guided sound for the album as opposed to the freeform nature of the tapes. With head of MMG Rick Ross in his corner, that was definitely a promise he could deliver on. That MMG era became defined by the three-headed monster of Ross, Meek, and Wale, and they would all have standout performances on the project. Additional features included Nas, John Legend, Kurt Cobain, Trey Songz, and Mary J. Drake was on here too, but A-Man had been on Dream Chasers too, so we don't count that. Essentials on this one would have to be Tony's Story Part 2, Maybach Curtains, Believe It, and the anthemic title track. We're not kidding, it's actually been branded the anthem of the city. Shout out to Uzi's Infectious Just Wanna Rock, but it's barely any lyrics to that song. Meanwhile, Not Knowing Dreams and Nightmares word for word might have people looking at you funny. So while Meek's social media personality today is questionable at times, don't let his Twitter fingers distract you from the heat that lies in this slept-on banger. T.I., I'm serious. You gotta be one cocky SOB to crown yourself the king of anything before actually doing anything. Enter Clifford T.I. Harris, who did just that on his 2001 debut album, I'm Serious. The self-proclaimed king of the South certainly got the attention he ordered, but probably not in the way he imagined. See, artists like Houston's Lil Flip took offense to the statement, claiming T.I. was disrespecting OGs like Scarface. Okay, fine, a little rap beef is normal, plus we know how that ended up. The controversy unfortunately didn't help sales, as T.I. would only push 14,000 units in his first week. That's a major flop by today's streaming standards, much less in the early 2000 days of CDs. The label wasted no time cutting their losses and didn't even give Mr. Harris a second single. We know how the rest of the story goes. He would get dropped by the label, hustle his way into a new deal, release a classic follow-up in trap music, and become one of the biggest stars the South has seen in hip-hop. For all of those reasons and probably a few more, I'm Serious gets thrown to the side, never to be spoken about again. But enter culturalist theory, because if you were one of the lucky 200,000 or so folks who copped this project, then you know the sales didn't tell the full story. The album is supremely underrated. Kicking the Sleeper off is a top 5 T.I. B-side and the introspective Still Ain't Forgave Myself, before going into the trap anthem Dope Boys and the narrative What Happened. There's records for the ladies here as well, with enjoyable tunes like Hotel featuring Too Short, Do It, and Choose You. Production from DJ Toomp, Jazzy Faye, and the Neptunes before the price got too steep helped bolster the project while T.I. was still learning the ins and outs of songcrafting. Critics
I ain't gonna lie to you, this was actually a good album. This is actually an underrated album. This is actually an underrated album now that I think about it, because he just brought up the track list. I'm like, I ain't gonna lie, this track list do go a little crazy now that I'm thinking about it, because I ain't listened to this album in a couple of months, so I've already wandered off. But yeah, I definitely gotta agree with this. Yeah, this definitely belongs on here for sure. This is definitely an underrated debut album, even if it did flop, but still.
threw around the word talented when rating this album back in the day. But let's be honest, talent is just another word for unrealized potential. But with hindsight being 2020, we see they were actually right, as Tip would elevate his songmaking, hone in more on anthems, and tighten up his flow for future releases. With his looming retirement album around the corner, it's about time this debut got its just due. Gangsta Boo, Inquiring Minds. Hey, close your eyes real quick. Picture a forest with only 2 trees in it that have been growing since the 90s. Look, I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. Just follow me. One tree we'll call Little Kim, and it's got several branches. The biggest of those go by the names Nicki Minaj and Cardi B. But then there's the other tree that isn't as tall as the Kim tree, but its branches extend 25 to 30 years into the future the same way. Its name is Gangsta Boo, and those branches go by the names Glorilla, Megan Thee Stallion, and Lotto. Turn on any radio station in the country in 2024 and the late Lola Mitchell's influence can be heard in drones. A member of 3 6 Mafia since 1994, one could say she was top 3 on the label, if not the best artist out the camp. Arguably the rap game's first unisex female rapper, it's close between Boo and Mia X. And by unisex we mean it wasn't uncommon to see dudes word for word with Boo at the same time the ladies were yelling where the dollar's at. After holding her own on 666 bangers like Hit a Motherfucker and Tear the Club Up, she would drop her debut album Inquiring Minds fall of 1998. Not using sex to sell as much as her Big Apple counterpart, but instead leaning more into the gritty street content prevalent with her label at the time. Mrs. Yeah Ho let you know out the gate she wants all the smoke on joints like Kill Kill Kill, Murder Murder Murder, and Wanna Go to War. She had records to turn the club up like Don't Stand So Close and her most well-known joint Where Them Dollars At. For anyone unfamiliar with how hard Boo was, scroll to track 15, nigga you ain't know, and peep her masterful triplet flow that's commonplace now in today's game, but no female was spitting like that in the 90s. If we're missing somebody, please feel free to comment below. Rest in peace, Gangsta Boo.
Most
Slim
definitely.
Thug, already platinum. Fresh off a guest appearance on Beyonce's #1 single Check On It, H-Town Slim Thug signed a one-album deal with the Neptune Star Trek imprint. Thug's debut, already platinum, would drop among the 2005 Houston heat wave that swept hip-hop, a time where acts like Lil Flip, Mike Jones, Paul Wall, and Chamillionaire became household names seemingly overnight. Well, maybe to those outside the Lone Star State. These acts were already making noise on the mixtape scene before the blow-up, thus the title of Thug's debut already platinum. Pharrell and company would handle 8 tracks, with Houston vet Mr. Lee contributing 4, and sprinkles from Cool and Dre, Sha Money XL, and Jazzy Faye. And if you couldn't tell by the name spoken, the production is superb. Now, I'm sure we'll have some Houston native listeners looking at us sideways for highlighting this project. Hell, even Thug himself stated the reception back home wasn't what he hoped for, as Neptune's direction was a different vibe from his previous mixtapes. But for those on the outside looking in, this is easily the best of the Houston 04-05 run, with all due respect to Lil Flip and the Trillo G Bun B. Don't believe us? Hit play on Click Clack featuring Pusha T, Three Kings with Bun and T.I., or the 420 friendly Miss Mary, and lie and say those don't slap. And is it us, or does This Is My Life give us Allure vibes off that Black album? Okay, nah, it ain't us. That shit is fire. Fun fact, speaking of Hove, already platinum was heavily bootlegged before the release, causing a major feature to be removed. I Ain't Heard of That was originally the Change Clothes remix featuring a hook and 16 from a then retired Jay-Z. The album version, however, would feature Slim on chorus duty, and Jay's verse was scrapped for Bun. For those unfamiliar with the Lost Hove feature, never fear, you can find it on YouTube. Long live the internet. Jermaine Dupri, Life in 1472. Let's be honest, when you hear the name Jermaine Dupri, what artist do you think of first? Chris Cross, The Brat, Mariah Carey, maybe Usher? You wouldn't be wrong if any of those rolled off your tongue. But you know what name we didn't say? Jermaine Dupri. The writer, producer, artist extraordinaire has dropped 2 solo albums in his illustrious career, and while the second joint deserves the crickets it received, that's got maybe 2 or 3 joints max. But that Life in 1472 is a completely different story. This project is so slept on it's criminal. We get it though. JD is in the Hall of Fame off R&B credits alone. He's responsible for some of the biggest records of this generation. But can we please put some respect on his 1998 rap solo-ish album? Let's start with the production credits. Dupri, obviously. DJ Quick, DJ Premier, D-Dot, and a young Kanye West with possibly the least yay-sounding beat of all time. For features, can I interest you in Jay-Z, Nas, DMX, Too Short, Mariah, Mace, Lil Kim, and Snoop? Let's sprinkle a little Usher, The Brat, Crazy Bone, and 8 Ball on top for good.
So basically, we giving props to a nigga for pulling, for basically just doing what Diddy did with his first album. That's basically what we doing. All right. But I never listened to Jermaine Dupri album, because who the fuck is listening to Jermaine Dupri? That's all I say. Who the fuck is listening for Jermaine Dupri?
That shit is fucking trash, dog. Get the fuck off the airwaves.
If he ain't on the production and the production alone, I ain't trying to hear it, bro.
That shit is fucking trash, dog. Get the fuck off the airwaves.
Trash!
So I'm saying though, like, I don't really know about this one, Chief, but I mean, it might be a banger though. Maybe I'm sleeping on Jermaine Dupri. Who knows? Maybe I need to revisit Jermaine Dupri album in my free time, but nah, I ain't finna listen to that shit.
Measure. Can we say star-studded? But CJ, Jermaine Dupri can't rap. Whoa now. While he won't be making anyone's top 5 best MC list anytime soon, he also shouldn't be making your worst list either. He kind of reminds us of that one NBA team that's not bad enough to get a lottery pick, but is just good enough to make the playoffs and get swept in the first round. So back to the album. The joints that go the hardest off top, Get Your Shit Together with X, Don't Hate on Me featuring Crazy Bone and The Brat, and You Get Dealt With featuring standout 16s from Mace and Lil Kim. No need to mention the classic Jay-Z featured single Money Ain't a Thing, or the magic Don Chi-Chi and Mariah make on Sweetheart. Those 2 radio bangers propelled the project to platinum status 60 days after its release. Yo, another fun fact. You ever wonder where the 1472 in the title came from? Okay, so J is the 10th letter of the alphabet. You add D, which is the 4th, making 14. And 72 is the birth year of Dupri. Yo, if you were today years old learning that, show some love and hit the subscribe button. Or lie in the comments and say you already knew.
Or maybe we just didn't care. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here, bro. What the hell?
Get off that nigga dick, bro. What is you doing?
Rocco, self-made. Let's go ahead and get this out the way. We got a question for you, Complex. How on God's green earth do you leave Rocco the Don off your top 50 Atlanta rappers list? That's inexcusable. Okay, this probably won't be the last time we got heat for them, but for now, it's back to our regularly scheduled program. It's obvious the good folks at Complex never heard his 2008 hidden gem of a debut, Self-Made, which tells us
I'm trying to figure out who else would listen to this goddamn album. Who is listening to these albums, bro?
That shit is fucking trash, dog. Get the fuck off the airwaves.
Try.
Who is listening to these albums, bro? I'm just saying, bro. Who in the world is sitting up here saying, yeah, let's put that Rocco on? Nigga, ain't nobody trying to... Come on, dog. Come on, man.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man. Fool this man. That is blasphemous.
either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the South. Because if you were outside during that era, joints like This Morning, Hustle 4 with Lloyd, and the lead single, I'ma Do Me should sound very familiar. Look, we'll shoot you some bail if this slipped through the cracks.
Yeah, like, I'ma Do Me is the only track you would probably remember. Nobody was checking, bro. Nobody was checking for Rocco like that. You just do you. I'ma do me. I'ma do me. That's not a song you take seriously enough to go buy a nigga album, bro. It's just a nice little song to just play every once in a while when it's on the radio, bro. You gotta remember, this song came out around the same time Lil Wayne came out with Carter 3. So you have to take that into account, bro. There's no way Rocco is finna get radio play over one of the hottest artists dropping an album. Maybe if he would have dropped it a little earlier, maybe he would have got some shine. Maybe his album would have got looked at. But dog, when you got somebody like fucking Lil Wayne basically about to control the radio for months on top of months on top of months, and then on top of that, you got Kanye still going on with his album. You still T.I. finna drop something new. Like, yo, there was no chance for this nigga, bro. It was GG's from the moment. It was GG's already, bro.
After all, 2018 saw several artists hogging up the spotlight. Remember, Wayne was busy doing a Milli first week. Kanye pushed boundaries on what a rapper could pull off musically with 808s. Jeezy dropped the classic in the recession.
Yeah, I forgot about Jeezy.
T.I. had his biggest commercial success with Paper Trail. But still, if you know, you know. And if you didn't, now you do. Matter of fact, now is the perfect time to dive into this concise 14-track anthem-filled feature-free album.
Ain't nobody trying to listen to this shit.
Like most of the country, may be down about the election results and need a pick-me-up. Well, throw on your favorite pair of headphones and play Tomorrow, Old School, or Like It's Here at unhealthy volumes, and we promise you'll feel better. This is rise and grind hustler music at its finest. Drummer Boy handled most of the production with additional joints by Cool and Dre and Justice League, so beats were not an issue. But Complex, you're not the only people who overlooked the man who discovered Future. Hip Hop DX rated this album a 1 out of 5. Yo, it's situations like this that birth culturalist theories, so in a strange way, we owe them a thank you. Little known Black history fact, this album was a joint venture between Rocco's Rocky Road label, Island Records, and So So Def. It's actually the first album under So So Def with no direct involvement from Jermaine Dupri. Hey man, that's 2 bombs we just dropped on y'all. The least you could do is show some class and join the Discord to continue the conversation. Hit that link in the description. Warren G, Regulate, the G-Funk era. The early 90s for West Coast hip-hop was insane. You had classics drop in back-to-back-to-back years. 91, 92, and 93 gave Death Certificate, Doggy Style, and The Chronic respectively. But right after that, in 94, a DJ/producer with ties to Snoop and Dre introduced a new sound labeled G-Funk via another classic, Regulate. The G-Funk era may not get the same limelight as those previously mentioned records. Hell, we admit, even we snubbed it in our top 10 albums of 94. Hey, cut us some slack. The competition was thick back then. But much like everyone, we were hip to this album and loved it just as much. The hit single, of course, was Regulators. We all know that, but did you know it was originally on the Above the Rim soundtrack, which was released on Death Row Records? However,
no shit. Considering looking at the music video and seeing clips from the goddamn movie, I'm pretty sure it's fucking obvious.
Suge didn't sign Warren to a solo deal, so he took his talents to Def Jam and repurposed the song for his lead single. Safe to say Suge was heated about that because the record became one of the biggest.
No, actually, according to Snoop, Corrupt, and Daz, they told him not to sign with Death Row. They told him to go to Def Jam. Because Warren G was actually going to sign with him. But Snoop intervened and said, "Come here, nephew. Let me talk to you real quick. Don't sign that deal, bro. Go to Def Jam." Nah, go to Def Jam. You going where we want to go. We want to go to Def Jam, but you got an opportunity to go to Def Jam. We over here. Go do your thing at Def Jam, bro. They bigger. They'll take care of you a little better than over here, bro. It ain't all it seem over here. All right. Warren G took that advice, and he ended up saving Def Jam from going bankrupt.
Rap songs of the year, if not the 90s period. While Warren may not be saying anything super complicated lyrically, that's not his appeal. It's more about the laid-back vibes, melodic flows, and clear, repeatable bars. Name a song smoother than this DJ. An underrated facet of the G-Child skill set is also his production. All songs on the album were produced by Warren himself. Quick question, we know Snoop was busy during the recording of this album, fighting for his life in the courtroom, but we know G and Snoop had a close relationship. So close, he's actually credited with discovering the dog and introducing him to his stepbrother, Dr. Dre. We would have loved a feature from Snoop on this album. If you could go back in time and add the dog to any one of these songs, which would you have picked? Several come to mind, but our selection would be What's Next or maybe Recognize. Regulate did well commercially, putting up 176,000 on the scoreboard its opening week. The critically acclaimed album also had 2 Grammy nominations, one for Best Rap Song for This DJ and Best Rap Performance by Duo or a Group for Regulators. Notice we said nominated and not won. Who did he lose to, you ask? Well, Queen Latifah's UNITY won over this DJ.
Boo.
Okay, that's fair. But Salt and Pepper's None of Your Business winning over Regulators is a Mr. Fantastic.
Hey, boy, ain't no fucking way, boy. Boy, ain't no 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 way, boy.
No.
Boy, ain't no fucking way.
No. 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 Nigga. No.
Fuck Salt and Pepper.
Fantastic stretch. Nevertheless, while we understand its underrated status considering the tidal wave of projects that preceded it, this album deserves way more credit than it receives. J. Cole, Cold World, Sideline Story. Likely the most overhated album on this list, and look, we understand why. Yo, remember when the Sopranos series finale dropped?
This album is fucking mid. This album is mid. 4 out of 10, bro. I give it a 4 out of 10. This album is fucking mid. There's probably like 3 good songs at best. 3. Like what? Workout. I think Who Dat is on here. I think he put Who Dat is on here. Who Dat and fucking Rise and Shine. That's it. Those like the 3 good songs on here. Every other song on here.
Hear me and hear me good, nigga. I'm here to double down. That shit is a 2-pack of ass. The fuck are you talking about? That shit stinks.
Boring. Yes, every song on this J. Cole album is boring. Oh my god. If you have a hard time falling asleep, play this album. I guarantee you will fall asleep.
Spoiler alert, but the screen went to black, pissing off the majority of viewers who wanted to know what happened with the mob boss they'd been so invested in. But if you can get over the initial disappointment of receiving the ending that you didn't expect and look objectively, that last scene is really genius. The same can be said for Cole's debut album. The only reason this gets hated on is because of its ties to the mixtape that preceded it. We all know the story. The Friday Night Lights tape was supposed to be the album, and it for certain is a classic. Then we get this Cold World album, which wasn't an instant classic, so its rating gets dragged down excessively due to expectations rather than the actual lack of quality. We understand, but
we have to blame Jay-Z for that, because Jay-Z wanted this man to make a hit so fucking bad. He wanted him to make a radio hit. Because he didn't understand. Let's just be real, bro. Jay-Z don't understand how artists work. Like, let's be real. Kanye made himself who he is. Cameron and Dipset and them, they made themselves who they are. Freeway made himself who he is. Benny Single made himself who he is, bro. Like, Jay-Z was literally trying to manufacture J. Cole's career, and it was not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to just let the artists do them. If you give the artists creative control and just let them do them, 9 times out of 10, people gonna fuck with them more because they putting out music that's genuine to them. But nah, we gotta have the radio singles. We gotta make songs for the ladies. We gotta do this. We gotta do that. It's like, yeah, that's why this album is so bad, because Jay-Z did not give J. Cole the ability to just do his own thing for his first album.
time heals all wounds, and it's time to get over that. The album is better than we give it credit for. It's balanced just right with radio-ready joints and deep cuts. Can't Get Enough, Who Dat, and Nobody's Perfect fit just fine on FM stations, while B-sides like Never Told, Darling a Dream 3, and God's Gift are the glue to hold the entire project together. Can we also give props to Cole for producing about 90% of the album? Nobody does that anymore. And not just the beats either, the storytelling is on point. The interlude about him getting locked up the same day he got signed transitions flawlessly into Sideline Story, one of the dopest tracks on the album. Same goes for the intro to Rise and Shine, with a picture-perfect Hove quote about signing the kid somewhere trying to take his spot. Now look, could we have gotten a better Cole and Hove collab than Mr. Nice Watch? Of course. We're still not clear on why Jay decided to hop on that beat. And would he surpass this album in quality with future releases? Sure, some would argue he did that with the follow-up. Yes, that Cole ranking is on deck, we're just patiently waiting on the fall off, just like you, so we can add it to the list. In the meantime, spin this one time and lie and say it's as bad as people make it.
Y'all might as well go ahead and make that list, bro. Ain't nobody... Bruh, at this point, bruh, we don't know what J. Cole on, bruh. Nobody knows what J. Cole is on. I'm sorry, J. Fold is on these days now. We don't know what J. Fold is on, bruh. Y'all might as well just go ahead and do that ranking, bruh.
It out to be. Enough time has passed, y'all. We can quit the cap. Ja Rule, Veni Vidi Vici. If hip-hop had a Hall of Fame, Jeffrey Ja Rule Atkins would be in the first ballot. Yo, wait, why doesn't hip-hop have its own hall? We're long overdue for that. About to add that to the CT Vision Board. Anywho.
Actually, there was a hip-hop Hall of Fame, but... yeah. If y'all remember, there was a hip-hop Hall of Fame at one point in time. Let's just say it wasn't treated with the utmost respect from the networks. The networks didn't do a good job with it, like they do the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. See, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they treat that like it's the greatest thing ever. I think they did the BET Hall of Fame, not the BET, but the Hip Hop Hall of Fame like 2 times on VH1. Yo, that shit was fucking trash, bro. They did hip hop dirty, bruh. Never again. You gotta erase it from your memory. See, people forget shit. See, that's why nobody remembers them, because they were did so fucking poorly. Like, yo, we supposed to honor these people in hip hop. We supposed to honor the culture, honor the genre. When I tell you that shit was worse than the BET Awards currently.
With that fact in mind, due to the way his career was ended unceremoniously, no thanks to Curtis Jackson, people in the comments will likely argue us down about his status. To spell it out, RULE deserves more RESPECT. And yeah, we know the radio hits that made him a household name, but we don't get any of that without his debut banger, Veni Vidi Vici. Remember, Ja was once shoulder to shoulder with DMX and Jay-Z. Ja opened up for Hove on the Hard Knock Life tour, and we were this close to getting a Murder Inc. album with the Three Titans. And while all of them became superstars in their own right, when we look back at hip-hop history, fans conveniently get CTE when it comes to Ja's legacy. All because a younger, more popular artist called him out for singing, then turned around and did the same thing. That's a cold game. Let's
Bruh, all he had to do was not crash out. All Ja Rule had to do was not crash out, bruh. All you had to do was just keep making hits, bruh, and just not crash out, bruh. All you had to do. That's all you had to do, brother. All you had to do is just not crash out. And what do? You crash out, bruh. God damn it.
I'm like, what he say fuck me for?
Pack the heat that can be discovered on this album though. We know Irv Gotti is known for overselling, hyping up mid to make it sound monumental, but whatever he says regarding his production here is all facts. Many tracks feature menacing piano loops that complement Rule's gravelly vocals and tough talk. Of course, we know Ja would switch things up for future releases, leaning more into his cheat code mix of songwriting and harmonizing, but that doesn't take away the fact he could pull either style effortlessly. Features were reserved for big dogs only, with Jay making 2 appearances, DMX of course, Eric Sermon, and Ronald Isley. Daddy's Little Baby belongs in the convo with other songs dedicated to kids like Nas's Daughters or Will Smith's Just the Two of Us. It's Murder gave us a glimpse of what could have been with Jay, X, and Josh sharing the spotlight, and Rule shows his reflective side on Race Against Time. Look, we don't want you to get what we're saying twisted. No, this isn't a classic. Hell, it's not even his best album. We got a video on that in case you're wondering what is the #1 spot, but we are just saying, when talking debuts, let's bring this one up a little more often, shall we? Vince Staples, Summertime 06. There's a very short list of artists in hip-hop who debuted with double albums. How many can you name? There's 8Ball, Corrupt, Crazy Bone, Yuckmouth from the Loonies, and most recently, Vince Staples. Let us know down in the comments, did we miss anybody? Yo, and do you notice a pattern with those other artists we named? They all came from groups. Not sure what the takeaway is, but Vince is the only solo act to do so, at least that we could find. Clearly, the then 22-year-old XXL freshman class graduate had a lot to get off his chest. Linking up with producer No ID and signing to his label in 2014, the two would drop an EP that year, with his debut, Summertime 06, releasing the following year. His label boss would handle most of the production on the album too, something we wish would happen more often. Dr. Dre recently said when artists lock in with one producer for full projects, that the product is better. While not everyone has a Dr. Dre or No ID in their back pocket, there's a mountain of evidence to support that theory. Check out tracks like Birds and Bees, Like It Is, and the future sampling Senorita for exhibits A, B, and C. Staple.
If that theory is correct, then why didn't that Nas and Kanye West album come into fruition? And what about that one time when Dr. Dre produced that one song for Nas and Foxy Brown and all of them? What about that album? Didn't that album flop too? So maybe that theory ain't correct. Maybe it's okay sometimes to have a little bit more chefs in the kitchen. Just saying.
Subject matter is street tales that aren't braggadocious, but more, this is just life as I know it. Very Good Kid, Mad City-esque. And speaking of K-Dot, he's one of the reasons this album is so overlooked. 2015 belonged to him with his March release of the critically acclaimed and commercially successful To Pimp a Butterfly, selling north of 300,000 copies its first week. So when Long Beach native Vince dropped a few months after his Compton counterpart, it made as much noise as a tree falling in the woods with no one around. 13,000 first week sales make it the lowest of anyone on this list. Critics would show love and fans would crown it a cult classic, but still, 13,000 is nuts. Thankfully, Staples stayed the course and has made a name for himself with a strong discography, refreshing takes on the culture, and a promising Netflix show that just got renewed for a season 2. Salute to that. And another list bites the dust. Yo, there's so many albums we wanted to include on this joint, but they barely missed the cut. We might have to circle back and do a part 2. Again, stay tapped into the channel. We've got lives on the way in our Discord coming very soon. Again.
Alrighty, man. That's just gonna about do it for this one. I guess I wouldn't know. Like I said, some of these albums, like, come on, bro. J. Cole, first album, fuck out of here. That shit is not underrated. That shit is properly rated. Trash.
Hear me and hear me good, nigga. I'm here to double down. That shit is a 2-pack of ass. The fuck are you talking about? That shit stinks.
I've never heard Ja Rule's first album a day in my fucking life, but I'm pretty sure it's not good. Warren G, I feel like that's a cheat code because I don't really think you consider that underrated because you can't be underrated if you saved a company from going bankrupt and you was part of a era where you were part of the meta at the time. Like Warren G's album was part of the meta at the time. That West Coast G-Funk era sound, like he was part of the meta. Rocco, get the fuck out of who the fuck is what? Who the fuck? Who the fuck is checking for Rocco, bro? Who was checking for Rocco, bro? We good with that one song. We good with that one song. You just do you. I'ma do me. We good with that one song, bro. That one song told us all we needed to know. Ain't nobody finna buy this weak ass album. Jermaine Dupri, never heard his debut album. Might be fire though. It might be fire though. 90s Jermaine Dupri was actually pretty on point, bro. Production wise, I don't know about rapping, but production wise, he was pretty on point in the 90s, bro. Slim Thug, I don't know. Then again, I only heard that album one time. So I don't know. But when I heard it that one time, I wasn't feeling it. Gangsta Boo most definitely deserves her flowers. Shout RIP to Gangsta Boo. T.I.F. series was definitely deserved to be on here. Meek Mill Dreams and Nightmares. Just like the J. Cole album. Like 3 hits and the rest of it is just trash, bro. So yeah. That's just gonna about do it for this one, man. Y'all can have your own opinions. I have my own opinions. I'm allowed to have my own opinions. You know what I'm saying? I'm not attacking nobody. I'm just saying. Some of these albums were properly rated, bro. I don't think these were underrated gems, bro. I don't. I think that some of these albums were properly rated. Now, Vince Staples' album, I never heard it. Then again, I didn't even know who the fuck Vince Staples was until like 2018. So there goes that. So that shows you how much I was listening to West Coast music around that time. But anyways, though, that's just gonna about do it for this one. I will see you all in the next video. Till then, peace out.